May I audible? May I audible? Hello. Yes, sir. Screen is visible. Okay. All of you take care. Okay. At the time of joining the any lecture, please mention your division slash roll number slash name of student. I will repeat once again. At the time of joining any lecture, all of you take care about your attendance. Okay. You should mention. Okay. At the time of joining, your name should be your division slash roll number slash name of student. Okay. See here, some student are written his or her name CS underscore H underscore 07. Please rename your name. At the time of joining your any meeting, any lecture. Here also some students name is CSC-TYB-18. Right now you are entering in the BE final year student. Still your name is as it is CSC-TYB-18. All of you rename your name like division underscore roll number underscore name of student. Pooja Kate, you only mention your name. Don't mention any name. You mention your division underscore roll number underscore name of student. Please all of you take care at the time of joining any lecture, any meeting. Okay, your name should be your roll number underscore, sorry, your division underscore roll number underscore name of student, because your attendance is automatic recorded. No single staff member, they will take separate attendance. Your attendance is automatic recorded. That's why at the time of joining the meeting, all of you take care about your attendance. At the time of joining the meeting, your name should be like division underscore roll number underscore name of student. Okay, up to that we have completed first unit. Okay, in the last lecture we have started second unit, unit number 2, message passing. Okay, this message passing, up to that we have completed introduction part, why message passing is required. Also where we can pass the message. For example, the two computer machine want to communicate with each other. Okay, the communication is going on through message passing. Next part is the desirable feature of good message passing system. Okay, at the time of sending the message, we require these features. This part also completed in the last lecture. First is simplicity, uniform semantic, efficiency, reliability, correctness, flexibility, security, and portability. Okay, up to that, we have completed this part. Okay, today we start the next part is the issues in IPC by message passing. Issues in IPC by message passing. Okay, what is the issue? Issue means at the time of passing the message. Okay, for example, I want to send one email to all of you, or in receive side, you want to receive some message from me. Means at the time of sending or at the time of receiving, what types of issue will be occur in front of us. Okay, this issue we see here. Issues to be addressed. The first issue is who is the sender. For example, you are the receiver. Okay, then first issue is the you will think who is the sender. Second issue is the who is the receiver. For example, I am the sender. I want to send the message to the receiver. Then I will check who is the receiver. Means here, for example, I want to send the message. I want to send any mail to all of you. Then I will check the receiver is authorized or not. Second way, you are the receiver. Then you will check the sender is authorized or not. Otherwise, in many times you receive the fake call, fake messages in your mobile. At that time, okay, what will think? The sender is not authorized. Okay, every day you received one or two fake calls, or every day you received one or two messages. At that time, the receiver will think the sender is not authorized. Correct? Means at the time of sending the messages, okay, passing the messages between two computer machine, the first issue is who is the sender, and second issue is the who is the receiver. Because I am the sending any message to all of you, then I will check the receiver is authorized or not, or receiver is correct or not, or receiver email ID is correct or not. Who will check? Who will check? Sender will check. Now, what about receiver? Okay, the receiver will check. Receiver will check the received message is correct or not. Before that, receiver will check the sender is authorized or not. If sender is authorized, then and then only receiver received this message in his or her computer machine. This is the second issue. Third issue is there one receiver or many receivers? Right now, I am the sender. Then I will check at your end. Okay, I will check this is a one receiver or many receivers. Right now, our lecture is going on. Then the A division have the 70 student, B division have the 80 student. Means there are number of receivers are available. Means here one to many communication is going on. Sender is only one, receivers are 70 plus 80. Correct? Means here, is there one receiver or many receivers? Next is the message guaranteed to have been accepted by receiver? What is the next issue? Is the message guaranteed to have been accepted by the receiver? Okay, I will send the message. I have sent the message to all of you. Then you will check, means sender will check the message is accepted by receiver or not. That's why the next issue is the message guaranteed to have been accepted by the receiver? Next issue, does the sender need to wait for reply? Okay, does the sender need to wait for a reply? For example, okay, there are two computer machine A and B. Okay, I will show here. Wait for 1 minute. Listen, the next issue is that does the sender need to wait for reply? What is the meaning of this sentence? For example, there are two computer machine. First computer machine name is A, second computer machine name is B. These two computer machine want to communicate with each other. Okay, the first machine, A machine, send the request to the B machine. A machine send the request to the B machine and wait for the reply. My reply means the A machine want to response from B machine. Means does the sender need to wait for reply? Yes. Why not? Because in synchronization, okay, if sender send the first message, they will wait for the acknowledgement. After getting the acknowledgement of the first message, then and then only they will send the second message. Means here, does the sender need to wait for reply? Yes, the sender always need to wait for the reply. Otherwise, sender send the n number of messages, and the receiver side, the receiver machine is fail, or in between the traffic will be occur. Okay, overcome this problem every time. If senders send the message, they will wait for the acknowledgement. After getting the acknowledgement, then sender will send the second message. Next issue is what should be done if a catastrophic event such as a node crash or a communication link failure occur during the course of communication. See here, this two machine communication going on. For example, right now our lecture is going on through this Zoom meeting. Okay, at that time, what type of issue will be occur in front of us? First issue is my computer or my mobile, means this is the node, computer, machine or mobile will be crash or will be damaged. This is the first issue. Then automatically we cannot communicate with each other. Second, communication link failure. Right now internet will be down, or internet has down, then we cannot communicate with each other. Means they have the n number of issues at the time of passing the message. First issue is a receiver laptop or mobile phone has crashed. Second is communication link failure, means suddenly internet has down. These are the issue during the communication. Next is what should be done if the receiver is not ready to accept the message. Will the message is discarded or stored in the buffer? In the case of buffering, what should be done if the buffer is full? See here, next issue, what should be done if the receiver is not ready to accept the message? Okay, I have sent the email to all of you, but for example, 2-3 students are not ready to accept my email. Then what will do? This is the big issue. Second issue, will the message is discarded or stored in the buffer? Some 5-6 students, okay, they have discarded my message. Otherwise, this 5-6 student, they store this message in his or her buffer. Next issue is, in the case of buffering, what should be done if the buffer is full? If receiver side, some student machine buffer is full, then what will do? If buffer is full, the remaining messages they can receive, all messages are discarded. All messages are discarded. Why? Because the buffer is full. And last issue is, if there are several outstanding messages for a receiver, can it choose the order which to survive the outstanding messages? What is the last issue? If there are several outstanding messages for a receiver, can it choose the order which to survive the outstanding message? For example, okay, we'll take the example, live example. If you have the 4 or 5 company offer, right now you have the TCS, Persistent, Cognizant. Okay, you have the 4 offers. Out of that, which offer you will select? My question is, if one student have 4 company offer, TCS, Persistent, Cognizant, Wipro, then how will choose? They will choose TCS, Persistent, Wipro, or Infosys, whatever may be. What is the condition? Same example. Okay, at the time of receiving the message, we have the number of messages is available in the buffer. Out of that messages, the receiver will choose 1 or 2 messages, but these messages are important messages. Same thing, if you have the 4 companies offer letter in your hand, then first you will check this particular company is the MNC or not. Second, you will check the package. Then and then only you select the out of 4 companies, you have selected only one company. This is the criteria. Same thing in the receiver side, receiver receive the number of messages. All messages are stored in the buffer. Out of these messages, they will choose the 1 or 2 messages, but these messages are important messages. Got it? This is the last issue. Okay, there are total 8 issues in the IPC by message passing. What is the IPC? IPC means inter-process communication. Okay, at the time of passing the messages, at the time of communication between 2 or more computer machines, we require the message. At the time of passing the messages between 2 computer machines, okay, we can think about this all the issues. The main issue is the who is the sender and who is the receiver. Means before sending any message to the receiver, sender will check the receiver is authorized or not. And second main issue is the at the time of receiving any messages, receiver will check the sender is authorized or not. Then and then only our communication is going on. Any question about these issues in IPC by message passing? Any question? Next is synchronization. In synchronization, they have the 2 primitives, blocking primitive, okay, and non-blocking primitive. In blocking primitive means synchronous communication, and non-blocking primitive means asynchronous communication. We'll see one by one. First is the blocking primitive. This is synchronous. If it is innovation blocks execution of its invoker, and non-blocking does not block execution. We'll see one by one. Okay, here we have the 2 cases. First case is blocking send and blocking receiver. Second is the non-blocking send and non-blocking receiver. Okay, in the next slide we see what is the blocking, what is the non-blocking. First is issues in blocking send. Okay, right now I'm sending the message to all of you. What type of issue will occur in front of me? Okay, see here, sending process could be blocked forever if receiver process crashes or message lost on the network due to communication failure. What is the issue? Sending process could be blocked. For example, right now I have sent one message to all of you. Then I have blocked my sending process. Why? Because the receiving process crashes, means receiver machine has crashed, or my first message is lost in between network, message lost on the network due to communication failure. Why I have blocked my sending process? Okay, I have sent one message to the receiver, then immediately I have blocked my sending process, means henceforth I cannot send any single message to the receiver. Why? Because the receiver machine has crashed. Our second way, our second issue is I have sent first message, this message has lost in the network because of communication failure. Okay, these are the issues. Why I have blocked my sending process? Because of that reason. Hence, it should use timeout value. Okay, hence it should use timeout value, means okay, in the blocking, what sender are using timer, means sender send the first message, he or she start the timer. Within this time period, the sender received the acknowledgement of the first message, then and then only sender will send second message. Or within this time period, the sender doesn't receive any single message, then sender immediately block the sending process or sending messages. Next, issues in blocking receive. Receiver process could get blocked forever if sending process crashes or message lost on the network due to communication failure. This is same thing, same like sender. Okay, sending blocking and receiving blocking both are same. Okay, receiver process could get blocked. Why? Because your sender machine has crashed, or receiver give the reply to the sender, this message lost on the network due to communication failure. Here also receiver are using timer, means after sending the reply to the sender machine, receiver start the timer. Within this time period, the receiver received the acknowledgement of that particular message, then and then only receiver give the reply to the second request. Otherwise, receiver will block the receiver process. Means blocking send and blocking receive both are same. Both are same at sender side and receiver side. Okay, means they will check the particular machine has crashed or our message has lost in the network. Next is issues in non-blocking receive. How to receiving process know that the message arrived in the message buffer? Non-blocking means here we can use the buffering. Here we can use the buffer. How the receiving process knows that the message arrived in the message buffer? See here, the blocking send and blocking receive, they cannot use the buffer. Means blocking send computer machine or receive blocking receive computer machine. These two computer machine that doesn't use buffer, but in the non-blocking here every computer machine are using buffer. Thus by polling or interrupt. Okay, we see what is the polling. Receiver uses test primitive to allow it to check buffer status. Okay, non-blocking means in receiver side receiver are using this non-blocking technique. Then what is mean by non-blocking technique? Receiver machine are using the buffer. Okay, first receiver receive the all these messages. All these messages has stored in the buffer. Then they will check one by one message and receive this message. First is polling means receiver uses text primitive to allow you to check buffer status. Which with the help of this polling, receiver will check the buffer status. Means the buffer is full or buffer is empty, or in our buffer have the 2-3 messages. Second is interrupt. When message has arrived in the buffer, a software interrupt is used to notify the receiving process. What is the interrupt? When message has arrived in the buffer, a software interrupt is used to notify the receiving process. Receiving process means, okay, right now in my buffer capacity is the 10. Right now in my buffer have the 5 messages. Then with help of this interrupt, the receiving process know that in my buffer have the 5 message, or in my buffer have the 6 message. This is the interrupt. Means non-blocking means non-blocking computer machine means those machine who have the buffer, and blocking computer machine means, okay, what is the blocking computer machine? For example, right now our computer machines are using the blocking send or blocking receive. Means our computer machine doesn't have buffer facility. Our computer machine doesn't have buffer facility. What about non-blocking computer machine? Non-blocking computer machine means our every computer machine have buffer facility. See here, synchronous communication. In synchronous communication, you will check sender and receiver. First, sender send the message, and here execution suspended. Means here there is the block. Sending process has blocked. Then see in receiver side, before receiving any message, our receiver execution is suspended. Once they receive the message, our execution resumed. Our execution has resumed. Then receiver send the acknowledgement to the sender. Then at the time of receiving acknowledgement at sender side, sender execution resumed. Okay, this is called as synchronous mode of communication with both send and receive primitive having blocking type semantics. I repeat once again. If sender send the message, then after sending the first message, sender process has blocked. This is called as suspended. Then in receive side, before receiving any message, our receiving process in blocking stage. This is called as execution suspended. Once the receiver receive any message, after receiving this message, the receiver execution has resumed. Means they can remove this blocking stage. and after sending the acknowledgement to the sender, okay, if sender receive this acknowledgement, then sender side execution resume. Got it? Means sender send the message, they can enter in the blocking stage. Before receiving any message from receiver, receiver under in the blocking stage. Once receiver receive the message, okay, they are execute the message. Means execution resumed. And then they can do the work on this message and they send the acknowledgement to the sender machine. But before receiving this acknowledgement, sender in blocking stage, because in this time period sender doesn't send any single message to the receiver. Once sender receive this acknowledgement, means execution resume, then after getting the acknowledgement at sender side, then and then only sender will send the second message. This is called as synchronous communication. Means I have sent one message to you, then I have stopped the sending the another message. Receiver side, if receiver receive this message, then receiver give the acknowledgement to the sender. Sender means me. Then I have received the acknowledgement from receiver machine. Then and then only I will send the second message. This is called as synchronous communication. Got it? All of you got it, this concept? What is meant by synchronous communication? Any question? If you have any question, please ask the question. All of you listening? May I audible? May I audible? All of you listening? Give the reply in the chat box. May I audible? A division roll number 2. May I audible? Okay. Okay. Here we will take a 5-minute break. At 10:30, we can resume. All of you take 5-minute break. We have continued 2 hours lecture, 9:30 to 11:30. Here we will take 5-minute break. Okay, we'll start the next point. The next point is the implementation. Okay, the synchronous communication is easy to implement. Why? Because here we got the feedback. What type of feedback? If sender send the message, they are waiting for a reply. If sender received any acknowledgement from receiver machine, then only sender will send the second message. Means synchronous communication. Synchronous communication is easy to implement. If message get lost or undelivered, no backward error recovery is required. Why? Because if sender doesn't receive any reply from receive side, then sender will retransmit the same message. Sender will retransmit the same message. Next is synchronous communication limit concurrency. And last is subject to communicate deadlock. Here, important point is deadlock. What is meant by deadlock? If sender send one message and sender is waiting for a reply from receiver, if sender doesn't use timer, then what will happen? Sender send the message, they are waiting for acknowledgement. Here sender machine not using timer, then if receiver machine has crashed, if our sending message is lost, then the sender doesn't receive any acknowledgement from receiver. Here sender in a deadlock position, but overcome this deadlock problem in synchronous communication, sender must use timer. Overcome this drawback of this deadlock, here sender or receiver, this both computer machine can use timer. Without timer, deadlock will be occurred in between sender or receiver machine. Next is buffering. In both the computer machines, sender and receiver computer machine, both the computer machines are using buffering technique. Buffer means, what is the buffer? Buffer means temporary storage. Messages are transmitted from one process to another by copying the body of the message from the address space of the sending process to address space of receiving process, possibly via address space of kernel. Kernel means operating system of sending and receiving computer. In some cases, the receiver process may not be ready to receive a message, but may want operating system to save messages for later reception. Why buffering technique is required? See, right now, the receiver doesn't want to receive any single message, or a receiver process doesn't want ready to receive any message. But right now in our network, these messages are arrived. Then what will do? In receiver buffer, the receiver can store this all the messages. In the receiver buffer, a receiver can store all these messages. Then after 1 hour, 5 minutes, what it may be, if a receiver want these messages, then they will take these messages from buffer. This buffer is called as a receiver buffer. Every computer machine have the buffer. They cannot receive a number of messages simultaneously. Then what will do? All these messages, one by one messages stored in the buffer, and the receiver process, they will take one by one message in his own computer machine. Means this buffering technique is available in the operating system. Next is message buffering strategy related to synchronization strategies. There are two types of buffering. First is synchronous mode. Synchronous mode means null buffer or no buffer. Asynchronous mode means buffer with unbounded capacity. There are two types of mode: synchronous mode and asynchronous mode. Synchronous mode means no buffer. Asynchronous mode means buffer with unbounded capacity. First, we see the null buffering. Null buffering means sender as well as receiver, they cannot use buffer technique. The first strategy, message remain in sparse means sender process address space, and the execution of send is delayed until the receiver execute the corresponding receive. After send, when acknowledgement is received, it executes send again. What does it mean by null buffering? In the first strategy told us, if sender send the message, the sender is waiting for a reply, and at the receiver side, receiver receive this message, they will execute this message and send the reply to the sender machine. If the sender received this acknowledgement, then and then only he start the sending the next message. The second strategy is the message is simply discarded and the timeout mechanism is used to resend message after a timeout period. After a timeout period. What is the second strategy? I will repeat this strategy in the last point. If sender send a message, at the time of sending the message, the sender start the timer. Within this time period, the sender received the acknowledgement, then and then only sender send the second message. Within this time period, the sender doesn't receive any single acknowledgement from receiver, then sender resend the same message once again. Okay, this is called here in the null buffering. Null buffering means no buffer. They have the two strategy, first and second. Next is single message buffer. Single message buffer means the buffer capacity is they can store only one message, means size of buffer is 1. The buffer can store only one message at a time. This is called as single message buffer. See here, if the receiver is not ready, a message has to be transferred 2 or more times. Hence, null buffering strategy is generally not suitable for synchronous communication. already message has sent. For example, I am the sender. Already I have sent message, but you are the receiver. The receiver is not ready to receive any single message. Then this null buffering strategy is fail. This null buffering strategy is fail. What is the condition? I have sent the message, but you are the receiver is not a ready position. Then here our message has discarded. Means overcome this problem of this null buffering. Here the synchronous communication use a single message buffer. Means already I have sent message. If a receiver is not ready to receive the message, then this message will be stored in the receiver buffer. This buffer is called as single message buffer. The single message buffer, they can store only one message. They can store only one message at the same time. Next, a buffer having a capacity to store a single message is used on the receiver node. Next is finite bond buffer. First buffer is null buffer, second is single message buffer, and third is finite bond buffer. A create buffer system call is provided to the user. In the finite bond buffer, okay, before receiving any message or before sending any message, this computer machine will decide the size of buffer. The buffer size is 10. Means at a time, this receiver buffer will receive 10 messages. Means finite bond buffer means will decide the size of buffer. This system call when executed by a receiver process create a buffer of a size specified by receiver either in kernel or receiver process. Means in finite bound buffer will decide the size of buffer 10, 20, 50, whatever may be. Next, in the communication, the buffering, they have the total 4 types: null buffer, single message buffer, finite bound buffer, and unbounded capacity buffer. Okay, null buffer means there is no space. Single message buffer means at a time they can store single message. Finite bound buffer means they can store the multiple messages, but here we said multiple messages, but here we have the limitation. A multiple message means 10, 20, 50 will decide 100 messages. Now what about unbounded capacity buffer? Unbounded capacity buffer to receive all the unreceived messages, but this is practically impossible. What is the unbounded capacity buffer? To receive all the unreceived messages. What is meaning? To receive all the unreceived messages. This is called as unbounded capacity buffer. But this unbounded capacity buffer, this buffer is practically impossible. Why? Because we cannot receive those messages. Those messages are not available in our network. Means to receive all the unreceived messages. Unreceived message means lost message, discarded message, corrupted message. Okay, this is called as buffering. Null buffer, single message buffer, unbounded capacity buffer, and finite bound buffer. See here, sending process, receiving process. Null buffer means in sending process they send the message, and receiving process they receive the message. Here they doesn't use any buffer technique. Second, single message buffer. See here, here this is the buffer, and the buffer size is 1. Means here the sender all or receiver they can store only one message. And next is multiple message buffer. Multiple message buffer means finite bound buffer. Means multiple message buffer means they can store the number of messages in the single buffer. But here this multiple message buffer have limitation. Before storing any messages in the buffer, this multiple message buffer or this finite bound buffer, they will decide the size of buffer. Okay, here we have completed the buffering. Null buffer, single message buffer, finite bound buffer, and unbounded capacity buffer. The next part is multi-datagram messages. Multi-datagram messages. Up to that, any problem, any question? All of you understood this buffering concept? If you have any question, please raise the question. All of you understood buffering concept? Any question? Okay, we will move to the next point, multi-datagram messages. Multi-datagram messages. What is multi-datagram? Almost all the network have an upper bound on the size of data that can be transmitted at a time. This size is known as maximum transfer unit of a network. A message whose size is greater than MTU, MTU means maximum transfer unit, has to be fragmented into multiple of MTU, and each fragment has to be sent separately. What is the multi-datagram messages? For example, I am the sender, you are the receiver. Okay, before sending any message, I will check the network capacity. Means network carry the data up to 10 MB, 20 MB, 50 MB, 1 GB, 2 GB. Correct? Before sending any message from me means sender, I will check the network capacity. I will check the network capacity. If I have 1 GB data, I want send 1 GB data to the receiver. But in between sender and receiver, the network capacity they will carry at a time 100 MB data. Network will carry 100 MB data at a time. Then what will do? Sender have 1 GB data. The network carry 100 MB data. Then what will do? How will send the 1 GB data? How I will send the 1 GB data? I will repeat once again. In multi-datagram messages, the sender want to send 1 GB data to receiver. But in between sender and receiver, we have the network. We have the Cat6 cable. Okay. This network communication or the in-between network have maximum capacity. They will carry 100 MB data. Then we can divide this 1 GB data into 10 packets. 100 MB, 100 MB packets, and send one by one packet to the receiver. I will repeat once again. Before any sending the packet or before any sending any message to the receiver side, first sender will check the maximum transfer unit of network. Sender will check the maximum transfer MTU of a network. Means sender will check the network capacity. If network capacity is the 100 MB, they easily carry the 100 MB data, but at sender side have the 1 GB data, then divide means fragmented 1 GB data into multiple packet and send each packet or each fragment has to be sent separately. First I will send the first packet, after that second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seven, eight, nine, 10. Means I have divided my 1 GB data, 1 GB message into 10 packets, and every packet I have sent separately. This is called as multi-datagram messages. Multi-datagram messages. What is the condition? In multi-datagram messages, there is only one condition. Before sending any packet by sender, sender will check the network capacity. This is called as maximum transfer unit. If your data is beyond the network capacity, then and then only you can divide it or you can fragment your data into number of packets. Next part is encoding and decoding of message data. See here, what is encoding? The communication process is a sender and receiver. In between communication media is there. Encode the data means convert the one form to another form, and decode the data means convert this another form to the original form. Encoding means convert the original data to the another format data. And what is the decoding? Another formatting data is converted to the original data. Means encoding is applying at sender side and decoding is applying at receiver side. But for this encoding and decoding, both the sender and receiver cannot use the key. But for encryption and decryption, we require the key, public key, private key. But for encoding and decoding, you keep in your mind, for encoding the data or decoding the data, the key is not required. Key is not required. But for encryption and decryption, we will require the key for encryption or decryption. Or keep in your mind encoding and decoding, no key is required, but for encryption and decryption, key is required. Okay. In the next semester, you have one subject, cyber security, network security, information and cyber security. In that subject, we'll see what is the encryption and decryption. The next semester, you have the separate subject, information and cyber security. But in the distributed system, only we have the encoding and decoding part. Next is process addressing. Up to that, any question? If you have any question, please raise the question. Up to that, anybody have any question? See, we can proceed. Next part is process addressing. Process addressing. Process addressing is naming of parties involved in interaction. There are two types of process addressing: explicit addressing and implicit addressing. Before that, what is the process? What is the process? What is the process? Please give the reply in the chat box. What is a process? What is a process? Please reply in the chat box. What is a process? What is a process? I will tell one example. I have sent one email to the all of you. In my machine, I will open the URL, type the gmail.com. I type my username and password. Okay. I will type on mail, and in two, I have inserted all the receiver mail IDs, and I click on the send button. In my computer machine, this mail has sent. In receiver side, the receiver computer machine, first they will receive this message in the buffer. Buffer is available inside the computer machine, inside the CPU. Then this message is related to email. I repeat once again. I want to send one email to all of you. In my computer machine, I will open the Google Chrome, type the URL gmail.com, type the username and password. and I have typed my important things in that mail. I have attached some files, and I have written the receiver email ID, and I click on the send button. Then you are the receiver. Right now, all of you using the mobile or all of you using the computer machine at your end. At your end, all of you using the computer machine. In your computer machine, they receive this mail, but this mail is stored in the buffer. Then how will check you have received or not? Then in your computer machine, you can open the Google Chrome. You can type the URL gmail.com. You type your username and password. Then immediately in your inbox, you got the mail. This mail is coming from XYZ sender. This is called as process. Means sender send one message to the receiver. In the receiver side, this message is stored in the buffer. Then your computer machine send this message to the particular process. This message is related to email. Means send this message to the your browser. After opening the mail, immediately you receive this mail. Means in your computer machine have the n number of processes are running simultaneously. Your Chrome, Gmail, PDF, Mozilla Firefox, your Turbo C, Java, NetBeans. There are a number of processes are running simultaneously. The sender send the message. Every message have the meaning. This message related to PDF. This message related to Gmail. This message related to Facebook. Okay. Every message have the meaning. After opening the particular website on the receiver machine, the receiver received this message immediately. Means in the receiver machine, these messages are stored in the buffer. Then this is the responsibility of this operating system. They can send this message to the particular process. Particular process means this message is related to Gmail. Then this buffer, the operating system take this message and send this message to the Gmail account. This is called as process. Means every computer machine have the number of processes running simultaneously. Here there are two process addressing. First is explicit addressing and second is implicit addressing. In explicit addressing, the process with which communication is desired is explicitly named as a parameter. Okay, here in explicit addressing, at the time of sending the message, sender required two things. First is process ID and message. And at the time of receive the message, the receiver required the process ID and message. Okay, sender send the message. What is mean by process ID? This message related to Gmail, then sender need the Gmail process ID. If receiver receive this particular message, this message related to Gmail, then receiver need Gmail process ID. This is called as explicit addressing. What about implicit addressing? Does not explicitly names a process for communication. At the time of sending the message, here we doesn't require any process ID. What we required in the implicit addressing, send any. Here we require the service ID and message. See here, send a message to any process that provide a service of type service ID. Okay, in implicit addressing. What about explicit? You send this message to the particular process. That's why here we have mentioned the process ID. But what about implicit addressing? Here we can send the message to the anybody, or we can send the message to the any process. Here we require only service ID. Who wants service? One user, two user, or 5 receiver want to service, or here the 10 student want this service. Here we mention the service ID. Meaning implicit addressing, I am the sender, I will send the message to the everyone who want service. What about receive anyone? In receive anyone, here we'll mention the process ID, because I am the sender. I have sent the message to the all of you. Then here I have mentioned the message plus service ID. Here I cannot mention the process ID, because I cannot send this message to only one user. I have sent this message to the n number of user. That's why here I have mentioned send anyone. But what about receive? At the time of receiving the message, receive know this message is related to email. That's why receive any, in the bracket they have mentioned the process ID comma message. Receive a message from any process and returns the process ID of the process from which the message was received. All of you got the difference between explicit process addressing and implicit process addressing? In explicit process addressing, here they have mentioned the process ID at the time of sending the message. And at the time of receiving the message, the receiver mentioned the process ID. But what about implicit? The sender want to send the message to the all of you. Here, the sender have mentioned a service ID, because all of you want, all receiver machine or all receiver want this message service. That's why here I have mentioned the service ID. And the receiver side, receiver know this message is related to email. That's why they have mentioned the process ID. In process ID, a simple method to identify a process is by a combination of machine ID and local ID, such as machine at local ID. Local ID can be process ID or port ID. Local ID can be process ID or port ID. What is mean by process? Process means once the message has received at the receiver machine, this message has stored in the buffer. Then our operating system send this message to the particular process. Particular process means we can call email. Okay, this message is related to email. Send this message to the email. Means you can open the browser, type the gmail.com, type your username and password, and then you got this message in your inbox. This is called as local ID or process ID. This processing are using the IP address, are using the port number that uniquely identify a process on a machine. Where this IP address is required, machine to machine communication, we have required the IP address. Machine to machine communication. Once particular machine received the message, this particular machine send this message to the process in the machine. In that particular machine, they require the port number. I repeat once again. There are two computer machine A and B. Computer machine A and B, both machine want to communicate with each other. Means both computer machine have the separate address, IP address. The computer machine A want to send the data to the B machine, then computer machine A want to IP address of B machine. Then with help of this B machine IP address, computer A machine can send the message to the B machine. Next, if B machine receive this message successfully, after receiving, the B machine can send this message to the particular process. After receiving the message at receive side, this receive side means B machine can send this message to the particular process. At that time, here we have required the port number. Port number means for machine to machine communication, we require the IP address, and for process to process communication, we require the port number. Machine ID is used by sending machine kernel to send a message to the receiver process machine. Means here we can use the 32-bit internet address, IP address, and 16-bit port address. For machine to machine communication, we are using the 32-bit IP address. And for process to process communication, we are using the 16-bit local ID, means port ID. This type of adding is known as link-based addressing during the migration. Okay, here, see here, machine ID, local ID. See, once I have sent the message, in the sending message, have the two things. First is receiver machine IP address plus message. Means computer machine want to send the packet to the B computer machine. Then A computer machine have two field. First field, IP address of B computer machine, and second is message. Message means data. What about the local ID? Local ID means this is the process to process communication. Once the receiver machine has received the message successfully, then the receiver machine send this message to the particular process with the help of local ID. Local ID means port number. Next part is the failure handling. Okay, we'll cover this point in the next lecture. Before that, all of you check at the time of joining any meeting, at the time of joining any lecture, your name should be your division underscore roll number underscore name of student. Before joining any meeting, your name should be division underscore roll number underscore name of student, because your attendance is automatic recorded. Your attendance is automatic recorded. That's why your name should be like division underscore roll number underscore name of student. Okay, all of you submitted class test number 1. If anybody is remaining, today's last date for submitting the class test 1. I have given the time. Today's last, because your campus drives are going on every 1-2 days. You have some work related to regarding the campus. Okay, but all of you take 1 day. Today is the last date for submitting the class test 1. Those who are remaining, please submit the class test 1. Already I have shared a link. Please check your group. The link is available. Please all of you submit the class test 1. Apart from this, any issue, any question, if you have any doubt, please all of you take care about your attendance. Your attendance is automatic recorded. Everybody take care about your attendance. Still some students, I will check the CAC underscore B dash 07 with the Sarika Hande. Sarika Hande, B division. You check your name. Your name should be like that. Your division underscore roll number underscore name of student. With the Vaishnavi, here Vaishnavi has written CC underscore TYA. Right now you are entering in the final year. Still you are mentioning the TYA. Who is the Rasika Vayapuri? Aditya, CC-TYB-35. I repeat once again, your attendance is automatic generated, automatic recorded, but your name should be like your division underscore roll number underscore name of student. This is your responsibility. CS Saurabh Wagule. Who is the Aditya? You rename your name. B division roll number 61. You mute your voice. Onkar Pawar. Okay, we'll stop here. But all of you take care about class test number 1. All of you submit this. Who is remaining student? Please submit this class test today itself. Okay, okay, we'll stop here. Thank you very much.